Good morning, Mike and Arlen, our Philippine journey. Thank you so much for joining us. You know what? Our blog covers many subjects, and all of them somehow, some way, either impact expats, residents, tourists, visitors, even people in long distance relationships. And while this isn't great gossip or chismis or drama when it comes to YouTube and places and people, it is a huge issue that will impact anybody that's interested in the Philippines in any way. So let's talk about China's now blockaded the Philippines and its most recent events. And I think you're going to be interested because of the video, because of the images, and because of what you're going to see. So let's get started and talk about it.
I never got it, why'd you have to go? I guess this world's too slow for you. I think there's beauty in the gray, the cold, but you just want the gold. And there's no way I can beat it, cause I got no chance, no chance when it comes to her. She got the glitter and the fame, and I just wasn't enough.
Okay, so here we go with China again. And this is an ongoing issue, and we're not going to go into it because there's enough history with everything that's out there. Let us just say this. China has now effectively blockaded parts of access to Philippine EEZ domain. All right. This was a 2016 tribunal ruling in The Hague. It doesn't belong to China. It's not a part of China, and China should just quit that shit. They're arbitrary -9 and -10 lines, and we're not going to go into those. You can go and look at our previous videos if you need to see it. But what's now happened is that there are a group of people that are protesting, all right, what's happened with the Sierra Madre, okay? And so they're planning on giving a resupply mission in that area. And there are occupied atolls that are in there that is Philippine territory. But what has China done? Well, China is pissed off at the Philippines. First off, they want everything. And don't get me wrong, I'm going to say this very briefly. You know what? Let me say this first. If this interests you, if getting current events interests you in the Philippines, if you find this informative, if you like the effort we put forward, then please do subscribe and do hit that thumbs up. It really helps us a lot. Second thing I'm going to address here quite quickly is that we don't have anything against the Chinese people, but this is the Chinese government. And it is facing some difficult times. Its economy is going to shit. Its construction's going to shit. It's got major land developers that are in bankruptcy that even the Chinese government will no longer support. You can look that stuff up. It's all out there. It is not a pretty sight whatsoever. So what do? Well, they continue to become aggressive. And the Chinese has a Coast Guard, and then they have a maritime fleet, all right? A militia fleet. And they call them fishing vessels, but they're not fishing, okay? And we're going to show it to you. Just hang on. And in addition to that, what's going to happen is that China has no intention of invading physically the main islands of the Philippines. It takes bites little by little by little as far as they can get, nothing worth getting into a war over, okay? Well, this impacts the Philippines significantly, and I'm going to tell you why. And anything that impacts the Philippines certainly impacts you. Keep in mind, the Philippines has to import everything almost. I mean, it's gotten to the point where they have to import onions, they have to import rice, they have to, fuel, everything else. And it is sitting on a trove of natural resources in the waters off the Philippines. Now, what's happened here is very simple. In fact, let's just take a look at the first part of this. In this image, you can see. Let me fix this here. Okay, so in this image, you can see these maritime militia boats. These are quote unquote fishing boats. Well, what they do is they line up with each other. In boating, we call that reefing up. So they reef up. If you notice the dark areas all around here, okay, those are shallow waters. Those are, corals and things like that. Well, this is a channel. And what they've done is they've effectively blocked this channel. This channel allows access to wherever, it's freedom of navigation to get from one point to another. Now they're blocking them. As of a day and a half ago, as I started to follow this, the Philippine Coast Guard reported that they're watching over 130 boats moving into position up here. Now, is this going to be its next reclamation effort? This is sovereign Philippine area. This is in the 2016 tribunal from The Hague. It said that this is part of the Philippines economic zone. All right. But China continues to build. Now, why? Well, you know what happens? You have to understand from a military point of view. They're building bases on these reclaimed islands. They're making islands out of something that at high tide doesn't even above water. It's not even above water. But they're making islands out of them. And they've been doing it for years. And, they start, we're going to put in a radar zone for shipping, or we're going to do this, or we're going to do that. It's all for this and that. And then they build huge military bases. In fact, this is just a timeline. Fury Cross Reef in 1987. All right. You can see exactly what they've done. This is Subi Reef in 1988. And obviously Mischief Reef in 1995. Now, Mischief was a much bigger installation situation. That's what it looks like today. That is one of the longest runways in the Philippine Islands. All right. And it is, China may have made it, but that's a Philippine island. All right. That sits in the EEZ. That has surface to air missiles. It has military air fighters deployed there. It has fuel. It has resources. It is effectively self-contained as long as it can be resupplied with fuel. Now, all of that being said, all right, with all of these things out there, the way that they are, this is a significant issue, all right? And I just can't say this enough. If China controls the Philippines, it really effectively controls the rest of the South China Sea. And that's what they're doing. Now, there's a lot of misinformation out there. I have a couple of viewers, and I'm addressing you right now. There are no plans for any permanent bases U.S. bases in the Philippines. They are shared bases. There are, I think, as of now, 9 of them, all right, where the Philippines is going to give us a little bit of area in one of their bases. We're going to probably help them expand those bases. We're going to maybe even help them build new bases and have a little piece or area of it where we can be operational. And let's face it, it is somewhat of a base, but it's not an American base. Now, what happens with this is we watch these blogs, these very, very, very misleading blogs. They are taking stock Defense Department footage of an exercise done 6 months ago, all right, here in the Philippines, and posting them today. And they don't put dates on it, and they make it look like the Americans have landed and the Americans are doing this. Okay? Well, we're not. Okay? We came, the American military came, and I'm all for it, don't get me wrong. The American military came, held exercises, and left. None of that's still here. Very, very, very little. All right? But what's got China pissed, what's got them worried, is now the Philippines is entering into agreements for coastal freedom with Japan, Korea, even Taiwan has jumped in there, all right? Australia, the U.S., and a couple of other places. Now, this has got the Chinese really pissed off, okay? And rightfully so. They should be pissed, and they should get the fuck out is what they should do. But it's just my opinion, isn't it? My point with all of this is that if you're an expat, you should be aware of what's going on. Number 2, you should be aware of how this might have an impact on inflation, goods and services here in the Philippines, and your cost of living. I don't think China would ever dare invade a sovereign country, all right? I don't think China would dare invade a country like the Philippines that has a standing, strong, supported defense agreement, all right, with the U.S. I don't think it'll happen. And what I do think will happen is we are going to see assets being moved into the U.S. I think we will see Subic will have a larger contingent of resupply and maintenance issues for fleet operations. I believe we'll see the Basa Air Base and the northern air bases that are being built by the Philippines. All right? I think we're going to see all of that happen because China has to be stopped from continuously claiming that and then from being able to put a stop to it. In the meantime, what's going to happen with these blockades? Is this going to become a fire point? What's going to happen when somebody pushes the wrong button or somebody collides in a major way and there's a loss of life on either side? What is going to happen? Keep in mind, these channels that they're blockading, these are important because this is shallow water, and you cut access off in these channels, and they're not all of them. You cut off access all the way around. All right, you've got to have deep water to run something like a Arleigh Burke or even a frigate. All right, or a literal frigate through these things. You've got to have water underneath you. The Chinese don't have to worry about submarines out there. The water's not deep enough to effectively run a covert submarine. All right, it's just not. They're easily tracked in these shallow waters. Submarines like deep water. Okay, so what do you think? Do you think that this is going to impact you? Do you understand how this might impact you? Does it even play a part? We'd love to know what your thoughts are on this. Otherwise, we'd love to say thank you. Thank you for watching and have a great day.